Alright guys, we've got a 2007 Toyota Sequoia with the 4.7 liter engine, and we've got to put an alternator on this vehicle. The alternator is buried down toward the bottom, right beneath the power steering pump. You can't really hardly even see it at this point, but trust me, it's there. Now, I've seen a lot of different ways of people taking these apart. I'm going to try to go about it a little different way, and hopefully it's going to be the easiest way possible. And my way is going to be removing this entire air box, including the bottom part. Looks like we've got some 10 millimeters that we've got to take off, and then we'll pull this harness up out of the way, disconnect it here, disconnect it from the throttle body, and pull this whole thing out of the way. I'll probably, this I don't think would be required, but I'm probably going to remove the radiator hose just to get it out of the way for camera purposes, so that the camera will have the best shot possible. But I think you could probably do this without removing the radiator hose at all. Obviously I'm going to lose a little bit of coolant, but we can always put that back. And so basically what you got to do once you get the belt off is get that power steering pump out of the way. And it's actually, it doesn't look like it's going to be that difficult of a job at all. So let me get the camera set up and we'll get started on this. Alright guys, so I'm just going to take, looks like there's 2 millimeter over here. They are captured, so you don't have to worry about losing them. And there's 10 millimeter right down here. And that whole box should be loose now. Vacuum hose right there. Looks like we got some more 10 millimeter. For this hose. Yes, that clamps 10 millimeter also. So now I think this thing will be ready to pop off here. Hose on the back side. Now the whole air box is out of our way. I'll show you how much room that makes. So now you can easily see the power steering pump. You can see the alternator hiding down there. Here's the air box. Now there is a vacuum hose here, here, and here that you gotta remove, but other than that, as you saw, it's pretty straightforward. So now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to disconnect the radiator hose. I don't want to make a mess, and I think I can probably do this without disconnecting that. So I guess now the next step is to get that belt off there. I don't have a belt yet. I'm waiting on it. It's supposed to be on its way. So hopefully it'll get here before too long, because I don't think it's going to take a long time to change this. So let me get the camera set back up. Because I've just got a 14 millimeter ratchet on the tensioner, I'm going to push down on it and pull the belt off. And I am going to change the belt. Like I said, I've got a new one coming. Now I think at this point, there's some vacuum lines right here connected to this pressure switch. I'm going to go ahead and remove those just to get them out of my way. That way I'm not fighting them for any reason. These are 14 millimeter. And be careful, because you already see that I just broke that nip off right there. I knew I should have unscrewed that. Thing is, I didn't want to get fluid all over the place. I think there's one more. Yeah, right down there. Now with that power steering pump laying out of the way, the alternator's pretty out in the open. And notice I'm doing all this from the top. I hate laying on my back. I hate working down, upside down. So that's kind of why I was wanting to take this approach. Anyway, now, oh, I haven't disconnected the battery yet. Make sure you disconnect the battery, because that's a hot wire right there. That B positive. Touch that on a body ground, you're going to get a surprise. So anyway, let me I'll go ahead and take, that's 10 millimeter it looks like. The connector's kind of up top there, so I'm going to wait till the alternator's loose before I try to unplug it. And I think there's only 2 bolts on the alternator to take out. So let me try to get the camera in a position to where you guys can see this. Okay, battery is disconnected. Looks like there's a bracket down here. I'm going to go ahead and reach down and get it. That way I'm not fighting it, trying to get the alternator out. I guess that one's 13 millimeter. The first alternator nut was 14. So this one here looks like it's probably going to be a 13. Okay, yeah, I guess there's another one down below. Looks like that one's going to be back to a 14, judging by the size of the hole. Now the next question is, can I okay, get this out of our way. The only thing we got left now is the connector. Got a little boot. Hopefully you can see the way the connector's set up. Zoom in here. There's that connector. And here's the outlet. So we've been at it about 15 minutes, I suspect. So it's not really that big of a deal. I'll get that set right down in there. So you got two studs, luckily, to where you can just slide the alternator onto, so you don't have to fight that too much. I'll go ahead and get that connector connected just to make it easy on myself. Don't forget to put your boot back on. That's what I wanted. Guess we actually only got oh. Okay, that's it. Got two studs to slide the alternator on. So now what do we need? Oh yeah, I dropped one of those nuts down in there, didn't I? Of course, I'm never lucky enough to where they fall all the way out. Actually, I guess I am lucky enough. So the farthest one back here is the 13 millimeter, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started on there. Then we've got the 14 millimeter right here. Then we got the bolt right here. Long-winded. You know, that may be a 12 millimeter. The socket I was using was a 6 point, so I guess it just gripped onto it good. It is a It is a 12 millimeter. That smaller one. Alright, that is tight. Don't you love it? Look at that. I'm going to have to drill the hole out bigger. Dang it. Aftermarket. Let me get that hole drilled out, guys, and I'll turn you back on. Alright guys, got the hole drilled out. I just went 5/16. That's the perfect fit for that. If I ought to put that, tell you what, before I put that back on, I should probably put this bracket back on first. I'm going to have to get the camera out of my way for this one. Oh, you weren't able to really see a whole lot. Sorry about that, but I had to get the camera out of my way. Don't want to tighten that up just real tight because you can twist that loose in there. Okay, well, now for the power steering pump. I'd recommend taking that out. That way you don't have to buy another one. I should have saw that coming whenever I saw that stud hanging out there. Alright, well, I've got to deal with this, but other than that, all you got left is hooking up the vacuum lines to this. They run up here. Let me show you, just so you know. So this was one vacuum line that went to it. You got a little holder right there. Then you got a shorter vacuum line right here. This one goes to the air cleaner, air box. And then of course you just got putting the airbox back on and the belt. Now the belt I can't put on right now because I'm waiting for it to show up. So once it shows up, then I'll finish this job up. But right now I get to go up to the store and hopefully don't have to spend a whole lot on one of those. So if I was you, remove that just to be on the safe side. You're probably going to lose a little bit of hydraulic fluid, but small price to pay versus having to buy another one of these. Anyway, that's it. I might once the belt shows up, I might turn the camera back on and show putting the belt on and everything, putting the airbox back in. But other than that, the alternator part of it is done. So far, I probably haven't been on this 30 minutes. I don't think, maybe closer to 20, 25. So this is a very doable job. Did not take the fan off, the radiator shroud, the hose. Did break that though. So just keep that in mind. Things happen sometimes when you're least expect it. Anyway, you guys take care. Alright guys, so I'm getting ready to put the belt on. Got a new belt. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to really position the camera anywhere to where you're really going to be able to see how the belt goes. Now just know that you've got a diagram right here on the radiator support. So, you know, at least you got that. And the tensioner, so I've got my 14, I think it's 14 millimeter socket with a ratchet. And you can see how just pulling down on it releases the belt tension. So that's basically all that's really involved with this, other than getting the belt routed properly and then getting it around all the pulleys the way it shows here, and then just releasing the tension. The last pulley you want to get is this one right here, generally. Now I haven't put this belt on yet, but usually you'll leave this one going straight across pretty much, and then whenever you release the tension, you just pull up on the belt and loop it around the smallest top pulley right there. So I mean, I'm going to try to maybe set the camera up right here, but whether it's really going to do you any good or not, I don't know. In fact, it may even be in my way. So let me see what I'm going to do. I'll turn the camera back on here in a minute. Alright, I don't know how much of this you're actually going to be able to see, so sorry about that, but there's just no real good way to you know, to position the camera. I'm just going to start by coming down this way. Well, sorry that you couldn't really see nothing, guys, but So the belt's on, and the main thing you want to do is just make sure that all the splines, I guess, I don't know what they call them, but just make sure they're all in the grooves. Okay, this is what I was using. It's just kind of a Harbor Freight extendable, and that's the only thing I really use that for. Love it for that. Okay, so now it's just putting the box back in. Before I tighten the bolts in, I got that tube there, this small one here, and then this one right here. Alright, now we just got these two 10mm. There's one right down there, and then the clamp, which is 10mm. And we're done. I think altogether, guys, this was probably 30 minutes, and that was dealing with the air box, everything. So this is definitely not a real difficult job. If you take this entire air box out, it really opens up all kinds of room for you. So now this is a mass airflow car, so make sure that this duct is in good shape. Make sure you're tight around the throttle body. You can't have any leaks. Make sure your vacuum lines are all connected, and you should be good. So now the only thing I've got to do is hook the battery up and start it up. Make sure it's pushed down as far as it can go. Alright. Grab the keys and start it up. not hearing that alternator whine like it was. Let's do it. Do an alternator test just to see what it shows. Now, I know I didn't show this on the video, but I troubleshot this down to the alternator, and it had a 500 millivolt ripple to it, which was kind of disturbing. But it completely failed. It was charging somewhat, especially when it was cold. But then whenever it kind of warmed up after about 5 minutes, it would not charge. And the thing about it is it would never bring the battery light on. So let's see what we got here. Charging test. So now we're down to a 19 millivolt ripple, which is very, very acceptable. They say up to 50 millivolts is acceptable, and I don't do this. It's tough to get in, rev the engine up to 2,500 RPM. When you got these drive-by-wire vehicles, you can't just reach down to the throttle and open it up a little bit. You have to get inside the car. Well, the cables are never long enough on these testers to where you can actually get in the car. So let's see if it gives us a pass. And that looks good. Now both the loaded and unloaded is probably going to be real close since I didn't actually rev the engine up. But if you rev it up, then you should normally see that loaded. The voltage will be a little bit higher because when you rev it up, the alternator, it's obviously spinning a little bit faster. But anyway, what you want to see on this particular tester is charging normal, and 13.8 volts is a good charge. So I'm just going to let it run for a while, charge this battery up, and call this done. Anyway, this was an alternator replacement on a Toyota Sequoia 2007 model, 4.7 liter engine. You guys take care. The one other test that I did before I completely called the alternator, since the alternator was charging somewhat, I'm just gonna have to go through the window, I guess. I got out the load tester, and this is just a Harbor Freight unit. This is just something to put a load on it, but even with the engine revved up to about 2,000 RPM, whenever I loaded it up to about 50 amps, the voltage would drop down to about 10 volts, and that's no good. You obviously want the voltage. I'm going to rev the engine up just a little bit. We'll come up to about 1,500, 2,000 RPM. That's 1,500, and I'm going to load it up. There's 100 amps, and it's still showing about 13 volts. There's 50, and it's 13.8 or so. So it definitely was not doing that earlier. So anyway, that's it. To me, this is really the only truly accurate way that you can test an alternator to determine whether it can hold a load or not, is to use a load tester. Alright, you guys take care.